All right, so today we're talking about the Yods Tarot, which represents a divine event, fated, fated events, divine thought, intuition. It's a spiritual element that's a part of the card, and it helps to bring a layer to your readings, to the message that tarot is trying to give you. So astrology uses the Yod. It's an aspect that shows up in the chart to point out some kind of fated event. And in tarot, it looks like these little droplets. Um, Not really a triangle. I mean, I guess not really, but you have this like it's small at the top, and it just looks like a little raindrop, you know. So maybe that's what it's trying to show. I'm not sure, but supposedly those little droplets looks like it's called yods. And tarot has so many different um, symbols, colors, clothes, hats, the way the person is facing, what they're holding, uh, the type of energy. It has zodiac like representation, numerology. It's just all the seems like all the spiritual systems rolled up in one. So that's what a yod is, and then let me show you what it looked like in each card. So these are the cards that have yods on them. All right, so the Ace of Cups. You see the yods, they look like little rain droplets. So this is divine intuition because cups, water, are intuitive, it's emotional, it represents love and relationships, connection, psychic ability. So I see this as divine intuition and fated, maybe romantic encounters. So I'm not going to use the word divine because I feel like divine means something good, a blessing. And not all relationships that are fated feel like a blessing. Sometimes they're fated because you're meant to learn a lesson. You're meant to learn self-worth. You know, it does not feel like a blessing, but it was something you needed in your life's journey. So they say the hermit has a yod in here. This looks like a star to me, but they said this is a yod. So the Hermit card is a major arcana. It's like a major, like internal pivotal moment. You have epiphanies. Um, it's just this enlightenment in isolation. You know, um, it's part of your spiritual journey. And so with the Yod here, this is it's like I said, it's an epiphany that seems to come from another realm. You know, it's an insight that seems to come from nowhere. You know how you kind of walking or just doing something and you just have this thought kind of just drop into your head, you know, or you just think of something, you know, or in isolation you have this realization about something. This suddenly everything makes sense. Everything makes sense. You know, like, why is all this happening to me? Yada, yada. And then you have this epiphany. Everything makes sense, and you can see how the events folded for you, unfolded for you, or you see the synchronicities in your life. It's an internal understanding of yourself, the spiritual world, and how things are affecting you. Now, with the moon, you see the yods here under the moon. So again, intuition, intuitive insights. Um, Definitely the moon being like psychic ability. This is supposed to be the Pisces card. And you know, if you kind of have psychic ability, it's like the moon and yeah, the moon, Pisces and water, the psychic ability, even the dogs or the wolves, they're connected to intuition and psychic ability as well. Um so being psychic is like having an antenna out in the cosmos, the universe, into another realm or dimension and pulling the information out to, or you're like a transmitter transmitting it into your mind for information or information for someone else. And I feel like the Yodes is working that way. Spirit is talking to you because this can be a ghostly card too. The moon, um, depending on what's around it, it could represent spirits or ghosts around you. And maybe I should do a video about that. But yeah, so the Yodes here with the moon is divine information, psychic ability. Now, the tower is where I first noticed the Yodes. For a long time, I've seen these little fire droplet looking things. I really just realized that there are Yodes in those other cards recently, but the tower, I've seen these and noticed these before, and that's actually what sparked research into what exactly those are. And it's not easy to find like what these little dots are because for one, you don't know what to call them. And how I stumble up on it is just getting breakdowns on the tower and just overall tarot research and study. So the tower, the Yodes on the tower represents this it looks very destructive and unsettling, but this is actually an act of God. And this should give you, and it's probably hard, but it should give you some comfort to know that God is actually in the midst of this change, of this turmoil, because destiny wants you to get on the right track. It wants to rearrange your whole reality because now that lesson you were learning is over and it's time for you to move on. And as humans, sometimes we don't realize when it's time to move on. So the universe has its own way of letting us know time is up. All right, so to the Yodes and the Ace of Swords, um, this is, I wouldn't say it's psychic ability, but it's an idea that kind of drops into your head. You know, you might see something and all of a sudden you get this idea, a whole blueprint laid out before you. Have you ever gotten one of those ideas before? And so I see it as that, like this, it's just like this idea it just drops into your head. You didn't have to think hard about it. You didn't have to go looking for it. It just popped in your head, like the girl from Scooby-Doo, Jinkies type of moment, light bulb type of moment. Lastly, Ace of Wands. So this is divine inspiration. So this is more energetic. So the swords, you get this idea. But with this is like a sudden rush of energy to get up and go work out, or to go get up and get everything you need done to go on this trip, or to get up and write like you're actually doing the thing. Um, you're inspired to write. So now you've been writing for hours and you didn't get any sleep, or you're working on some project and you're like a mad scientist and you're just up day and night working on this thing. You're obsessed with it. And that's divine inspiration. And when you feel it, and I felt inspiration before, it feels fucking lovely. And it's so motivating. And it just feels so good to be inspired to create something. to do something, and you've usually completed, and it feels fulfilling. It's not it doesn't feel like a burden, exhausting. You actually can't sleep, you can't stop because you're that obsessed.